Good morning, everyone. And no need to stand. This is how I say in my first class. Rather, I'll keep standing, isn't it? So, I'll keep greeting you also for almost 5-6 months. Yes. So, let's start our process. So many things you may have in mind, isn't it, about public administration. So, the first question comes, and that is, are you sure about this optional? Yes. So, as we have already taken one class, which you can watch video, although yes, some repetitions will be there. So this time I decided to take one class. Already we have published that recorded lecture to know some basics aspects of why to opt public administration, which you may already know that why to opt public administration. So just we'll try to know a bit about you, then we'll start. And that bit is like how many people in you are from science background. Science we mean all engineering, etc., etc. And rest people are art background. No, commerce is not art. Yes, so they should decide themselves, isn't it? So how many people are from humanities? Let's including all commerce and economics. Almost, let's say that. Yes. So it's almost equal proportion. Is it like that? Humanities versus science option. A science background. Anyhow, you should know that as per UPSC reports, almost 80% people have science background, those who appear in this examination. This rest they have, let's say, humanities. And in that, 80% people opt their optional, which is different from their graduation subject. So just to repeat it, if you think you have taken this optional, you are not familiar, so that should not be the question. Because UPSC does not expect that you should be familiar. This means it does not matter whether you are familiar or not. Today you will become familiar with public administration a bit, and your journey starts from here. What you do from here, that matters. What you have done so far, it does not matter. This. So, because UPSC is very inclusive institution. If you understand the term inclusive, it gives chance to everyone. Very big-hearted. At the same time, very stone-hearted also. That it does not compromise on standards of questions. It always troubles people by some unexpected questions, like CSAT paper 2023. Isn't it? The qualifying paper has become more difficult than the paper which becomes basis for merit. No. And if you are allowed to question UPSC, I guess people will file PIL in court, isn't it? This, because you cannot make a qualifying paper more difficult than a paper which becomes basis for merit. It loses its legitimacy. But we cannot question UPSC. Why? It is bureaucracy, which you want to also become part of. Isn't it? So tomorrow you will be on that side. Although we will always remain on this side. Yes. So tomorrow you can argue from UPSC perspective, isn't it? Anyhow, they know it better, why they have done it. So when you have decided to prepare for this UPSC, means civil services, it is itself a daring act. It is itself a very hardest decision which you may not have realized yet, I guess. This in your life about career, that you can qualify in first attempt also, you can qualify in last attempt also. Most cannot qualify in any attempt. This is the harsh reality. We know the positive side of this. Like results have come, so you can see many such toppers. No. And their success stories which motivate you. But behind those success stories, there are also hundreds of failures. This. So we can say that the backyard is hundreds of failures, and those hundreds of failures give few, let's say 100 success. It depends if which side we want to be. So that's why let's see, this UPSC is different from any other examination that you have appeared so far. Simply because it is open for all. Anyone can appear who is graduate or equivalent. This. No any other examination in the world also is open like this. And no examination in the world is written in 22 languages. That's why I told that UPSC is big-hearted. You can write public administration in Kannada also. Yes, if you decide to. And you will necessarily qualify. There will be 100% result. Because there will be only one copy. Examiner will check your each answer by taking test. Isn't it? थोड़ा दिल्ली घूम के आएगा, फिर दूसरा क्वेश्चन चेक करेगा. Anyhow, so the question is that it has diversity also. At the same time, it has challenges also. This is what all those aspects. Then it is different because you know that CBSE is about 100%. No, you may have also 100%. UPSC is about 56%. If you get 56%, 57%, you will come in top 10. Your parents will be shocked. Because in CBSE, 56% comes. So largely, let's say, some make suicide also, commit suicide. Is it like that? So you can understand the difference. This. And interestingly, people are not even securing 33% in CSAT. A petition has been filed to reduce it to 23% from 33%. This 23%. I still remember some media people, they laughed at civil service aspirants when there was a demand to bring some changes in CSAT questions. They shared the stories of their children. They told that our children can solve CSAT paper. This. They saw the paper. They told that my child can solve this paper. So they laughed at UPSC standard. Is it like that? Anyhow, so the question, this is how you'll find UPSC in general, let's say. So when you have taken a decision for this, you should make it a bit different from whatever you are so far. The way you have done, although the past can give you confidence. Whatever you have done, your academics, whatever let's say that you are, that can give you confidence. That is how the relevance of that past. But thereafter, the relevance comes only what you do henceforth. You have to learn to take those challenges which are highly uncertain. UPSC is the most uncertain institution and also examination. That level of uncertainty you do not find in any examination. Like, let's prelims happens. If you have IIT, JEE, next day they will give you cutoff and answers. Is it like that? But UPSC gives once it is not needed. When final result comes, that time you do not need it. That has also been done by Supreme Court. It has directed UPSC to do it, then it has started doing. Otherwise, so at each stage there is uncertainty. इसके बाद क्या होगा? Prelims you give uncertainty. No, now that uncertainty is reduced by almost 15-20 days. That they gave quite early result. It is good that result comes quite early. It minimizes uncertainty. Isn't it? Then mains happen. Then they don't, let's say, thereafter again uncertainty. Interview. And after interview, when result comes, results come just 4 or 5 days before prelims, so that you can have a very high level of emotional intelligence to manage yourself. Isn't it? Those who qualify and they get desired ranks, desired services, so they are, let's say that, happy. But those who do not, the result has also come. That pain is also there. And prelims is also there. So that kind of situation you will not face. You may not have faced. It is a matter of career also. Anyhow, in that career, optional plays an important role. Any optional plays important role. If you are very scientific in terms of objectivity, statistics, economics, management, so you will say that as per the marks, weightage should be given. No. So GS has 4 papers. It is 1000 marks. And optional has, let's say, half of that. So we should give half time in GS of that, half time in optional of that optional. No. It's whatever the time you give to GS, of that half we should give to optional. But that quantitative aspect does not work. This you should know. Any optional you take, it takes time to study that optional, understand that optional, and to make yourself in such a position that you can secure marks. The most important challenge comes after studying optional. That whether your answers are liked by UPSC. Suppose it does not like, what you can do? There are many candidates, they can write good answers, but they don't get marks. We don't know also why. It is a black hole. So that is uncertainty. It's not that those who are qualifying, they only, let's say, they are good. Many times they are not good. Many times they don't write better than some people who have written. You can see the copies. You can yourself evaluate who writes better. Still you know that some people who write better, they don't get marks, and some people, those who may not necessarily write, they get it. Nowadays, people do not see all these things. Nowadays, crowd has become highly blind. It just imitates topper's copy. Take the topper's copy, and if whatever the topper copy means, the person has written in the copy, even by mistake also he has written something, that also people will copy. Yes, because this is how it has worked, isn't it? So This way you will find. So there can be several such success stories in this, and there can be several, let's say that failures that people can share. But at the end of the day, you have to make yourself an optional in such a fashion that UPSC likes your answers, even if it is wrong answer. That is how we say. उससे हमें क्या मतलब है? Right. Marks should come. How it comes? It is the tension of UPSC. That's why people are trying to learn the rules of the game. How marks can be brought. But you are not in that position still to learn that. For that, you have to have, yes, some understanding related to subject. What is this subject? As we have told and we tell, when you opt public administrations, it demands a bit more hard work. Yes, you should be mentally prepared for that. We don't sell any such story that you don't have to study. This, the way आजकल तो YouTube है, you also belong to that era, isn't it? On YouTube it is written, ये पढ़ लो और prelims, mains, interviews सब हो जाएगा. So that, let's say, story you don't sell. You have to study. There are 26 chapters. You have to study those 26 chapters. You have to know them. You have to match to PSC standards. This, as we have told in that, let's say, video, that since public administration is not taught at graduation level, so because of that, there are challenges. Because of that, its questions are framed a bit difficult fashion. This, other subjects are taught at graduation level. Yes, like say history or political science or economics, you can say. So basically, those academicians who are given the task to frame questions, largely they will belong to graduation level. This, and from graduation level, they may have gone to higher level. So their approach to ask question is different. And in public administration, since it is not taught at graduation level, largely you have the scholars who are at post-graduation level, higher studies level, research level. So they will ask questions which can be a bit different. So this is first, let's say that challenge. Second challenge is that it is applied subject. One day we told that day again, but let me tell, or gradually tell you that it is an applied subject. What do we mean by applied subject? Gradually also you know that. It is highly dynamic and applied. This. So because of that also, nature of questions are different. You have to learn, you have to, let's change yourself, your thinking, your approach from the very beginning, that you have to apply a bit extra effort. If your neighbor or roommate wala is, sorry to say, if anthropology optional, so change it. ऐसे कोई 3 idiots वाला मैटर नहीं है इसमें. So because anthropology is shortest option. No, 3 months and finished. So why you have not opted anthropology? You did not know. Anyhow, so other optional people may tease you. No. And can also, let's say, build pressures on you. This, but you should have mindset, you should not get affected by peer pressures. So this is how you start facing the challenges. The reality. It has its advantages that we have told, which no any other optional has. That also true. So, like paper second, we say as paper 3 of public administration, ethics paper we say as paper 4 of public administration. So no any others optional will have the advantages which public administration gives you. So that is how we'll find. Plus once you join services, then also you benefit from this. In fact, those who had public ad optional, once they have gone into services, then they enjoy it and they say, now I understand public administration better than what I understood during preparation time. Because they are now applying administration in practice. This, so that we can consider. So that is how it helps. Others will have to study administration. This after joining civil services. So that way we can consider. So these are some of the things, let's say, what we are trying to say, that you should have a bit different mindset for this optional, and then you can survive. Second thing is that once you have opted it, any optional you take, any decision you take for this UPSC, you should execute that decision. You should not panic when you face challenges. You should execute it. So, because execution is very important. We people are more, let's say, good at planning, isn't it? बहुत सारे plan already आपने बना लिया होगा. So we are very good at planning, but we lack execution. Some of you may be good at execution also because of your family background, academics, etc., etc., isn't it? Because we have different backgrounds. So some people can be very good at execution also, that they do not only plan, they execute also. But why I am saying this about optional, that once you have decided, there should be no second thought in your mind about any other optional. This is the first beginning. If you kowtow, if you panic, if you, let's say, vacillate here and there, this, should I go, should I not go, let's see, isn't it? All these things. So then you will remain in dilemma, you will not understand it. Unless you have complete faith in the optional that you have taken, you cannot give your 100%. Or even you cannot give you more than 100%. This. So the things we like, efforts come, energy comes, motivation comes. When the things you like, you do. This. If you do by force, so then you will get motivated 1 day, 2 days. You will take some tea, coffee, no, cigarettes, etc. also to motivate yourself. But that is very artificial. This, how long you will take it? So that's why I say that if you have interest in the subject, if you have interest in civil services, both, let's say that you like civil services and you like optional, you want to know about administration, you want to enjoy knowing about administration, so then you will be able to give your best efforts. This, otherwise it is a challenge. That's why I say optional is like religion. It has nothing to do with religion per se. Religion here means religion demands discipline, sacrifice. This, not the way nowadays religion is taught. This, that's why saying today religion, it is very sensitive, isn't it? But the actual religion we do not know. Nobody knows. I will sorry to say that 99% people do not know what is religion. They have not read religion. They have heard it. And they do not practice religion. It is very hard. It is very difficult. Those who have practiced religion in true sense, they have spread love in this society, not hate. This. The only thing you have to know that. But we are not teaching here philosophy. Public administration we are teaching. So what I mean to say is it demands lots of discipline. Vivekananda, you know. But most of people may have him as ideal, isn't it? You feel motivated. Strength is life, weakness is death. Photo hoga? Yes. So, discipline. He had discipline. This discipline in life. Can we have discipline in life? Now, he meditated 16 hours, 20 hours. अब तो 20 minutes भी नहीं होता है. No, सो करने के लिए हम बैठ सकते हैं मेडिटेशन के. This is called discipline. This. So those who have followed, that's why we say that it demands discipline. Discipline means ki you should have a proper routine, you follow it, you revise it. What we find is that the class will start. Let's say that just after a while, we are just talking here and there things to create some mahal, isn't it? Build environment. So this is what you can say. So the question is that once the journey starts, we'll start teaching. Tomorrow will become one, let's say, one class old. Next day will become 2 classes old, and gradually the things will pass. If you do not connect in the first class, you will not connect in second class, and then your train is left. This. There is no second journey, you know that. Because you cannot build any such building, let's say, you have to construct it all together new. If it has a weak foundation, it takes time. If connection, that will happen only when there is a dedication. You are dedicated, you study it, you revise it, you go at home, again study, revise it. As long as you are doing optional, the most important work in your life is studying public administration. Especially for first 2 and 3 months. No other things should be as important, sorry to say that, as studying public administration. Because the first 2-3 months are the most difficult aspect of public administration. It is very, let's say that regrettable that any optional starts with theory section. And those sections are most difficult, like chapter first, chapter second. They are the most difficult chapters. If you understand public administration. That's why when we finish chapter second, we say we have finished public administration. Rest is formality. So understanding first two chapters will become very difficult. That's why let's say that you should read. Why we are saying we have years of experience? People start reading initially, then after some time they become casual, this and that, indisciplined. आजकल तो और भी थोड़ा indiscipline बढ़ गया है because of online offline mode. This online offline mode में ये होता है चलो online में देख लेंगे, isn't it? I will see in online. उससे क्या होता है कि discipline नहीं आता है. आप देख लेंगे, ठीक है, आप अपने टाइम से. इसका मतलब कि वो इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है आपके लाइफ में. This it's not that they will not become successful. It's not that they are doing something wrong. But let's say that it does not apply to all. It takes away the discipline in you. What discipline? You do not utilize your 2.5 hours to your fullest. You should utilize your 2.5 hours in the class, which at times reaches to more than 3 hours also, to your fullest. Tell to yourself. But then you'll find that you have this one smart guy with you, phone. Isn't it? आपके पास फोन होगा, किसी का मैसेज आ गया, isn't it? So that is disturbing. So although we allow everything in the class, this you can say, allow, but phone should not ring. This you should know that. Anyhow, I have my own way to tell, so you will see what I will tell that time. So the question is that disturbance. You have phone, then you have YouTube, you have your own all engagements, social, etc., etc. You are part of this. Those who are online watching, so yes, some are serious, but not all. This because online आप watch कर रहे हो, फिर पेरेंट्स किसी ने, isn't it? If you are living with family, depends which type of family you have. तो वो बोलेंगे 2 मिनट की तो बात है. This and that 2 minutes will take away all seriousness. It's all concentration. You know, I don't carry phone in my class. I don't carry my phone myself, although no one can stop me. Isn't it? But it is my standard. I don't carry from the very beginning my phone. Phone is there. ऐसा कुछ 3 घंटे में बिगड़ने वाला नहीं है. बिगड़ भी जाएगा तो हम क्या कर लेंगे? क्या करेंगे? This ये सोचना कि फोन कुछ हो जाएगा, होने तो हो जाएगा, तो क्या करोगे आप? This so the question is that so I don't keep. It is my standards. I want to be myself in the class. If phone is not there, so at times it may happen in class I may carry phone where there is any important matter, so I have to talk or let's say message. So you'll find I will be also a bit disturbed. This. So it's about when you are coming in class, you tell to yourself, this is 2.5 hours, I have to give my best. And similarly, those who are watching online, they should also tell that they have to give their best that 2.5 hours. Otherwise, those who are online, 2.5 hour video you will watch in 8 hours. It is wastage of time. That seriousness will not come. When we did not have online, people used to study offline. Only in that 3 hours, they will have to do everything. So they will write notes, etc., etc. Although you become habitual, you will just say you will write notes. Even online people also write. So that, but then online has given benefits also, convenience also, but at the same time it has brought passivity also. This it depends how you train yourself. How you will know? In past when there was no online, so people used to write tests only on test day. Suppose test day is Saturday 10 to 1, 90% people will come and write their test on that day, that time. And paper will be given only at 10 and it will be taken at 1. Whether they have written, they have not written. Online time comes. This in online, now system has got broken. You can write test as per your convenience. You can take home also. Then 3 hours in copy has no legitimacy. Although people write 3 hours, but we know that it cannot be written in 3 hours. But you cannot tell. Only few people put discipline to themselves. This room is test writing room. The people come and write test. They enter at 10 and they go at 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock. They take their time. Anyhow, so they are writing test in 4 hours, 5 hours. And they think that they are securing this much marks. But UPSC gives you 3 hours. That is another passivity. But again, not all people. Some people are very disciplined. They train themselves, as I told that. Some people are good at execution. It depends on your upbringing, family background, your academics, which type of person you are. So these are some, let's say that this and that aspects which we'll talk. What basically we are trying to say is, when we start this class, start teaching, you should read it properly, understand it properly. You go home, read it again. Read any textbook or printed notes given, which will tell you that where to read, what to read. When you come back, so again read in the class what we have taught. Means when you come tomorrow, what we teach today, you should know it. Do not keep it for next. Then you will understand it. This. So you can understand that you may have done your IITs and engineering, management, academics, etc., etc. But when you start preparing for this examination, so you know that it poses a big challenge. First, you have to cross that challenge. Then you will enjoy it. This. So these are some initial aspects you can consider. At the end, basically what we say that you have to apply a bit more efforts. And that kind of mindset you should have. This. And then you can do better in this option. This is what we can say. Next, that how we approach basically. We approach, let's see, you may have already seen, you may be familiar. We try to explain any such topic. Whatever the topic we take, we explain it, you understand it. We dictate it also. Although we dictate very properly, simply because the notes are important. Forget about what people say in the market. If you do not have notes, tomorrow you will not remember. Books have not written everything. This you should know, because books have not been designed as per UPSC standards. Even if they are designed as per UPSC standards, things keep changing. You can see the things keep changing. When things keep changing, so books cannot be readily updated. It takes time. That second is that when you get any guidance, let's say this kind of guidance, your learning becomes fast. Self-study can take time. It depends that individual, and let's say it can be, let's say, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, let's say. People can do also self-study, they do that. But it takes time. But this process, let's say, expedite your process. It helps, let's say, that in, let's say, fastening your pace of learning, because we can work as more catalyst. So that is how the difference you can consider, and this way, let's say, that you can benefit. And next is that when you write your notes, write it properly. I know that in initial classes it is difficult for you to write, because terms, terminologies, and the way my approach, etc., you are not familiar. So since you are not familiar, first you may not have written, especially engineers. So you may not have written much. First time you are writing in college also, since things are not taught nowadays, WhatsApp पे notes share कर दिया जाता है, isn't it? ऐसा होता है? So this is all fine that. So you may not have habit of writing, but UPSC is about writing. Mains examination is about writing. Those who can write better, they have advantages in mains. This. So that is how, let's say, that it becomes important. Even if you face challenges, but that is how you have to go through this initially. And if you read subject, suppose you read notes, books, you become familiar with that. As I was saying that there is no NCRT, let's say, since it is not taught in graduation, so there is no NCRT. Otherwise, let's say if it is taught at graduation, so we would have NCRTs which could have helped you. Like the way political science has NCRTs. It can help, it can become basis for beginning in the subject. And books are also like that. The books have certain standards because they are written. Your journey start at not basics. It start at certain level. And because of that, initially it becomes a bit challenging, which we'll try to make it simple. This then comes the sources initially. Since we'll start with paper 1. So, chapter 1, that is introduction. For that, sources, if you talk, sources of reading, we have Prasad and Prasad. Then Mohit Bhattacharya. That is given. So Prasad and Prasad is like Prasad in beginning. So you should read it. You should take that book. It is a basic book which deals with all thinkers in public administration, and it has no substitute. Even if in our printed notes we have given thinkers, but it is a textbook. So textbooks have no substitute, you know that. And that's why, since it is a basic book, it is related to thinkers, and chapter second is most important. That's why, let's see, you should take this book and you should read it verbatim. This about the thinkers, especially initial thinkers, are those thinkers name mentioned in syllabus. You may have got syllabus. Do you have syllabus? If you do not have, buy from market any syllabus, which gives also analysis of past year question papers. Any publication you take, there is no any contact we have with publication wala, so you can take anyone. So Prasad and Prasad, let's this. Mohit Bhattacharya, that is New Horizon, an introduction to New Horizon of public administration. You can buy at this stage, you can delay it. It is not important at this stage. After Prasad and Prasad, you can follow this. So it will help, because Prasad and Prasad is only about thinkers. It will not talk about introduction, meaning, significance, scope, evolution, that topics we have, public choice approach, new public administration, new public management, good governance. These things will not be mentioned in Prasad and Prasad. And Mohit Bhattacharya also does not mention as per syllabus. This. So you can then rely on what the printed notes we have given, you can read that. If you want simplicity in the language, so you can follow IGNOU, that's the e-Gyan course. You can download administrative theories. Okay. One booklet, it is administrative theories, which, since it is IGNOU, it writes in a simple language. So that option is also there. You should follow any one source in beginning. If you are following printed notes, no need to go that. You have to decide. Multiple sources you should not follow. And this Prasad and Prasad you follow, no need to read thinkers from this. Don't try to, let's say, expand your horizon beyond your capacity in beginning. This, because in class itself, when we have discussion, it is enough to understand this. At the end of the day, you have to rely on whatever we have dictated in notes. This. But let's say that when you tell a small child, don't touch the lamp, child does not stop. ये दिल है कि मानता नहीं. Sorry to say. So the question is that you want to go through that journey. If you buy some books, you feel relieved. This, isn't it? और कमरे में तो कुछ बुक्स भी होना चाहिए. कोई फ्रेंड्स वगैरह आएंगे तो बोलेंगे क्या यार कुछ यूपीएससी का प्रिपरेशन करते हो, कोई बुक्स भी नहीं है, isn't it? So, right, if you buy books, you feel relieved also. That is how I can say. So this is a process, but you have to rely anyone. As of now, since we will teach Wilson, so you should read Wilson from this. Wilson. Once you finish Wilson, then you should follow this. I will tell you. For the first chapter. Then again, when we take second chapter, again you can follow Prasad and Prasad. Thereafter, we'll tell you what to do when those chapters will come. However, let's say that these two books are fundamental books. There are three fundamental books, let's say, in this optional. The two we have written, Prasad and Mohit Bhattacharya. And third one is called Arora and Goel. Indian Administration. Yes, it is for paper second. These are fundamental books. You can read them 5 times, 10 times. The more you read them, the more you know about public administration. Questions are also directly asked from these three books. Their one sentence, any structure, any quotation can become a question in UPSC. That's why they have relevance, because UPSC also follows them. Plus, Letsky will give you some other such sources. The sources are related that he will give you also one test series compilation with a model answer, which are available on portal. On that, if you go, so it may be uploaded, or let's say it can be uploaded in coming time. Model answers we give compilation. After some time, you can read them to know that if there is a particular question, how its answer is written. Later stage, it can work as a source, let's say, material, let's say that. So as far as sources are concerned, materials are concerned, it's huge. You will never feel that there is dearth of or scarcity you can consider of materials. You have to read them. That will be the dearth. So then you start writing your tests. When we just finished our first chapter, there is a test. And you have to write that test. That test also, it's copy evaluated. You get model answer. You get a discussion video also. You can watch it. When you get another model answers, it is also, let's say, that is resource. Already you have one model answer. 10 question, 20 question multiplied by 28. No, you know mathematics better. Because one test paper has 28 questions. In that, 19 you have to attempt. Right. You can multiply that if you follow. The 10 question multiplied, 10 tests multiplied by 28, 280 questions. Right. 280 questions, model answers you have. It's huge. Nowadays, a new trend is people compile our model answers of 5 years, 4 years, and they start reading it, and they even bring top score. This. So, we have also, I should not tell it myself, but yes, we have since 2011, this is also a record that students have brought highest marks. This. And one highest mark still remains unbroken. That is by Avilash. Right. That is called 334. Since 2013 era. Before that, Prince Dhawan had 390, 93, 94 like. But that was in old era time. Old era when we had 600 marks. In 2013 onwards, we have 500. And then marks started reducing. There was a time that 300 was even average, let's say. But now even 294 is highest in a successful candidate. This. So, and that in 2013 onwards, 334 remains highest, which will be largely unbreakable, given the pattern of UPSC marking in optional. Right. It can be possible only when public administration sees its good days, isn't it? This, so that can be considered. So these are some, let's say, that basic aspects of sources that you should rely. The three books, Prasad and Prasad Bhattacharya and Indian Administration, which you can buy later stages. This, then next stage comes, and that is called understanding. You have to start understanding public administration. This, isn't it? Enough of this all. So let's take understanding public administration. So we don't have to understand what is the subject. We'll talk later on. First, we want to know why the subject. Why public administration? No. So this, so public administration, all disciplines have their origin from philosophy. This you should know that. All the disciplines have come out of the discipline called philosophy, Greek philosophy, basically. Right. Why say nowadays we say that, ancient Indian philosophy is also origin, isn't it? That's different matter. So, public administration is youngest of all subjects. Whether you say discipline or subject, it means the same. Discipline means subject here. Discipline means not the way we say order, discipline in our house. So, when we use the term discipline here, it means subject. When we say subject, you know that the way you have subjects like sociology, psychology, economics, management. So public administration is also a subject, you can say, or it is a discipline, you can say. Now, as a subject, it was established in 1887. This. So, see, I can write public administration PA, but you should not write. That's why I do not write. Otherwise, people will start writing that. So, the question is, it was established in 1887 as a separate subject. So, why it was established? Although we'll tell it in that exact what Wilson wanted, when we'll take after this Wilson. But first we want to give you a general understanding about public administration. That what this subject is and why it was established, or why it is important, what it does, and then we'll take Wilson to what Wilson was trying to say about public administration. So why it was established? To know why it was established, we should know about state. We should know about government. We should know about people. And we should know about objectives. And we should know about challenges. Yes. If we know about a state, government, people, objectives of state, and challenges of state. So this knowledge about them will help you understand this. Why we need a subject like public administration. So, in brief, we will try to tell about them, government, state, etc. Isn't it? So, basically, we can start with modern state. So, modern state, no need to go in too much of this background. Modern state or state is established. Why state was established? Do you know that state was established because of social contract? Right. State was established. This state that you say India is a state, you can consider. US is a state, you can say. The modern nation states, they came into existence on the basis of social contract. This, what is social contract? It is contract among people. Social means people. It is contract among people. Before that, we had monarchical system. We had monarchical system, largely monarchical system, feudal system, it was considered, exploitative system, absolute state. So, 16th and 17th century onwards, political philosophers started talking about rights of people, role of people, how people can be governed better, and democracies. Like say, first was this social contract, Thomas Hobbes. He is the first political philosopher to talk about social contract. This simple social contract is nothing but a contract among people that they should be governed by a state, since they themselves cannot govern. People cannot govern themselves. No, so when they cannot govern themselves, so what they do, they form a state, and the state will govern on their behalf. This is called social contract. इसका कोई फॉर्मल मीटिंग में एग्रीमेंट नहीं हुआ था. You don't think that people gathered at any place, no, and then they sign on a paper. It has evolved. It's just evolution with political philosophy. It will teach you first political science a bit to teach you public administration. This the social contract, this is how you understand. This social contract was further improved but not needed. Later on, you will come to know them. It was further improved by John Locke and Rousseau. This, but it is not needed to know in detail here. Social contract is a contract among people so that they can govern themselves. Hence, state is formed. State is formed. The state came into existence. This is one theoretical explanation of emergence of modern state. There can be several other theoretical explanations, but they are not popular. Marxian theory is also there, but it is not popular. Social contract is a popularly accepted theory which talks why state came into existence in modern times. Now, state is formed. But state also cannot govern itself. No. Can state govern itself? It cannot govern. The state will govern through government. The state will govern through government. That is how government came. And this modern times, it is, let's say, a democratic government. A democratic government. Isn't it? So, state is formed, it cannot govern itself. Then government is, that is called elected government. But government also cannot govern itself. Modi ji can speak. cannot execute. For execution, he needs bureaucracy. You, isn't it? In future. So, this way. But tab tak Rahul Gandhi. So, the question is that if you want to become, isn't it, go to top of the government, you should befriend Rahul Gandhi. Anyhow, take it sarcastically. I have a habit of speaking in this way. The question is that we are saying that government also cannot govern itself. Right? It needs administration, isn't it? It needs administration. Yes. In fact, this administration is very old. Government can be new, democratic government. But there were governments, let's say monarchical governments, we had also British rule. And British rule established administration. Okay. But that is old, or old fashioned you can say. Modern fashion is that it is a democratic government, it is elected. And then it is administration. And it is this administration which has to, why people have established a state to govern themselves. Why they want to govern themselves? They may have aspirations to fulfill their aspirations. The government is established, administration is established. What? To fulfill aspirations of people. This. So let's write people and their aspirations. Isn't it? Like say we have practical example, so we have also constitution. And constitution gives you ideals, that is called objectives. These objectives are to be achieved by government through administration. No. Preamble gives you ideals. We the people of India. This. Then justice, liberty, equality, no, fraternity. This. So it envisages for something. Then we have DPSPs. It talks about welfare state, welfare of people, social justice, isn't it? These are, let's say that this is how we have. So this way we can consider. Then the question comes, let's say these developments were there. You should know that there would be so many developments related to state. What should be the role of the state? What should be the objective of the state? How state should be organized? How state should be structured? Democratic, there are different types of democracy, presidential, parliamentary, constitutions, there are different types of constitutions. So lots of developments happen related to state, citizen, constitution and government. Right. Why? To realize aspirations of people. But what becomes most challenging? Can we say we have been able to realize aspirations of people? This. Whether, let's say, we are able to, whether government is able to. When we say government, it means also administration. When we say administration, it means also government. We don't have to need separately, isn't it? So, those who are in government service, they write on their car backside, Bharat Sarkar. Right. This is another. Government of India. This. So, there is no distinction between government and administration. Although, yes, specifically speaking, there is difference. Right. So, that way you should know. Can we say they are able to fulfill the objectives of people? What do you think? Not fully. Yes. Then which one is most challenging? Writing constitution or executing constitution? Executing constitution. Right. So writing constitution just took very short time, didn't it? But 7 decades happened. We are not able to execute it. So this is the most important aspect. So whatever the developments we had related to constitution, writing constitution, उसके लिए भी knowledge चाहिए. Lots of theories you have, basically political theories, political science will teach about all these things. Government, nature of government, types of government, democracy, types of democracy, polity, federal polity, different types of federal polity, constitution, which country has which type of constitution. This is how political science will teach. It means we are more concerned at state level, government level, that what should be a good government, how a good government can be formed, how can we have free and fair elections, what democratic rights people can enjoy. But all these things cannot be delivered if we do not have efficient administration. This, after all, what you have in mind that you want to prepare for civil services? You want to do something? Isn't it? You want to do public service. Why you want to do public service? Okay. Because the role of administration is to do public service. Okay. Whether in US also people want to do public service. Is it? No. People are more dependent on market. Society is already developed. और ये वहां पे ऐसा नहीं कि स्कूल है तो टीचर नहीं है, टीचर है तो बच्चे नहीं है, दोनों है तो टीचिंग नहीं है. So this is what we'll find. So public service, let's say, but we need administration. Why? Government is still dependent on administration. We have private sector also, we have civil society also, but government has to fulfill aspirations of people, so it depends on administration more than anything else. And that's why, let's say, you are important. That's why civil services remain very important in our country. This, but we are talking in present context. We are talking in present context. Wilson was talking still, let's say that, 130 years back. It's 1887. In 1887, the situation, and now after 1 century, the situation, it's different. But still, as you are saying that, it is difficult to implement what we promise. We have promised to people like constitution, which is like giving them like Mars, isn't it? So you have promised constitution, and constitution has all those ideal elements. Equality. No. Justice. But you know that what happens in actual practice, there is inequality. So challenges, let's say, challenges to realize public aspiration has given significance of public administration. What does it mean? Basically, let's say that the challenges are so serious that you need a separate focus on that. Right. Writing constitution is not as challenging as executing it. Making a policy is not as challenging as executing it. We can have best of the policies in the world. Can we say? We have best of the policies in the world. You have all types of policies. Even you guarantee 100 days employment. No any country guarantees. We have 100 days employment guaranteed, Manrega. This, we have food security scheme. This security, naam hi aisa hai, food security scheme. Food Security Act, this midday meal, this, we give midday meal, but it's reality. Right. In 1 liter milk, 29 students were served in Uttar Pradesh. Right. And the criteria was that the milk which was served to students, its color should remain white. This. So midday meal program we have, you are aware about this, isn't it? So problem is that you have a meal program, but is it reaching to people? Not necessarily. And if it is not reaching to people, so what will happen? Aspiration of people will not be realized. So if you take any policy, be it midday meal program, food security scheme, public distribution, you can take Manrega scheme, whatever. After all, government is trying to serve to people through policies, programs and schemes. This state tries to serve. And those policies and schemes are implemented by administration. This and administration can serve to people when administration can serve people better. Government, administration, people. It can serve better when. So administration can serve people when it is efficient. No, it is efficient. So whether administration is efficient, but that will not talk negative. So people can be served better when administration is efficient. At least this you understand? It is efficient. No. So efficiency is here related to performing, result orientation. Right? If a meal is, let's say that in the scheme given to students, that meal should be given to students, so then it is efficiency. It should be given on time, in the same quantity, in the same quality. This, if it is being done, it is called efficiency. This. So, if administration is efficient, it can serve people. Then, how administration can be efficient? How administration can be efficient? Administration. So, administration can become efficient when administration itself is organized and structured efficiently. Yes. Any administration to deliver efficiently, first it should itself become efficient. Yes. So, now this administration you can take as organization. Administration we can take as organization, like it is an organization. No, and any organization has what? Structure, process, and behavior. Can we say it has a structure, process, and behavior? At least you may have studied so far. आपने ऐसे ही skip तो किया नहीं था graduation में? No, or open book examination. So this is what right. Any organization has structure. Let me give you a separate thing, then we'll come back. If you have any organization, you are working, any organization, right? So it will have a structure. Structure is related to hierarchy, isn't it? let's say that you join yourself as district magistrate, IAS, not necessarily a district magistrate, but this is how, let's say, your dream post is district magistrate. You know better than SDM. You join as district magistrate, gradually you reach to, let's say that joint secretary, gradually you reach to the additional secretary, then finally secretary. This is the structure, hierarchy, right? And then this structure will perform work through process. It is work process, it is techniques, tools. No. This, after all, you will do any work. So what is the process of work? Okay. You go in any bank, you will get the process. What is the process? If you want to do anything, open account, form you have to, they will give a form. You fill it, you submit it, then they will process it. So there is a process. In that process, there was a time they used technique, manually it was done. Now computer is taken, process is automatized, isn't it? So let's say admission process, at least you may be aware. So nowadays in Delhi University is online process. No. Online? It is completely online. There was a time it was completely offline. The parents and students' children, both, let's say that, went to Delhi University and awoke several nights, isn't it? Yes, nowadays it is process is automatized. When process is automatized, what happens? It reduces time, it reduces cost. So it enhances efficiency. This is process, let's say. So any organization does its work through certain processes. And in that processes, we can use some tools and techniques. Like say, let's say railway ticketing. There was a time that if you take 20 years back, isn't it? So ticketing was at ticketing windows. You have to go to that certified windows. And then entire day you have to plan, isn't it? One day. And as soon as you reach to window and suppose it is 4 o'clock, come next day. Isn't it? Travel time, cost, one day, calculated, time and cost. Nowadays it is anytime 24 into 7 hours. So you can manipulate it, isn't it? The process has become better. Any organization has process. This you should know that. And it has structure. And then it has behavior. No, how will know behavior? Already you may be aware about public sector behavior. Do you have experience? Good or bad? Bad experience. क्यों? नया जनरेशन में भी गुड नहीं आया. Isn't it? Generally if you go office, government office at 10 o'clock, जल्दी चले गए आप सुबह सुबह, तो एम्प्लॉय स्टाफ क्या बोलेगा? और कोई काम नहीं है. सुबह सुबह आ गए, कम से कम चाय तो पीने दो. मतलब घर से चाय भी नहीं पिया है. anyhow, चाय आता है 10:30 तक. So half an hour क्या होता है? You know it. Anyhow, even if they start at 10:30, still it is good. Then suppose you come late, let's say 3:45. This फिर बोलेगा लेट क्यों आया? बस दिख नहीं रहा है 4 बज गया, कल आना. ये भी नहीं आपसे पूछेगा कहां से आए हो, कितने दूर से आए हो. ठीक है, दूर से आए हो, मैं अभी कर देता हूं, थोड़ा मेरा लेट हो जाएगा. आई विल गो लेट बट आई विल वर्क. Isn't it? Behavior, it is a negative behavior. There can be a positive behavior also. Right? There are some good activism by civil servants. Good stories by civil servants, those who have done better, that can be positive behavior. So, behavior matters in organization. Yes. It means ki structure, process, behavior, they will ultimately determine efficiency. Yes. Because structure can hamper good behavior also. If your structure is centralized, you may be at least aware, isn't it? We say bureaucratic structure, hierarchy, isn't it? So hierarchy matters. Many movies you may have watched related to hierarchy, right? And bossism, this subordination, superior subordinate, subordination that we say. So that way you can see this, that structure itself creates problem. Means if we do not have proper structure, then it will itself create inefficiency. And if we do not have good process and techniques, it will further create problem. And both added, the behavior don't expect. No. Like still in your colleges, I guess, still when you leave your college and institution, I guess still there may not be single window system. Still you have to go to different corners for different, let's say that, authority signature. One is in north, another is in south. Is it like that? This, so the process is still dilatory. This, which one day we'll talk about single window system. The structure, if you do not have proper, then it will create problem. Process, if you do not have, you know that still we use many old processes. Even if there is computerization, artificial intelligence, but still in many public offices, you will find old process and outdated techniques. This, you can see Wednesday movie, very old movie, Wednesday movie, one small, let's say that boy comes, means young boy comes and what he says? अभी भी इस पे काम कर रहे हो? No, ये सारे आउटडेटेड हो चुका है. वैसे भी गवर्नमेंट में जो सॉफ्टवेयर्स होते हैं वो you know it better. So that is how process you understand. Behavior we'll talk later on, but that is how the examples we have given. You should know that in India we have a culture of going late and coming early. This people go office late and they come early. They go office, it is itself great. In public sector. This anyhow, so this is the culture behavior, you know that. The summation of that. Therefore, it was realized, let's say this was realized by Wilson. The person who realized this was Woodrow Wilson, better than any other thinker. That it was difficult to execute constitution, run constitution, right, than to frame it, because administration was not efficient, but its challenges had increased. Challenges that time. Today also administration challenges have increased. You can see today you go by metro has improved, but suppose metro stops somewhere, you feel, you express something, isn't it? You express your dissatisfaction. This, even if metro has improved, it gives you good quality of service, still your satisfaction level is not very high. No, because your expectation has also increased. You want, as soon as you reach metro should wait for you. Right. Yes. And as soon as you enter, there should be a seat. Isn't it? This expectation we have. And since you do not get it, what do you say? It has huge rush, this and that, isn't it? Imagine in our time, we used to wait for 1.5 hours for a bus from one side. 1 hour travel, 1.5 hour wait. Then you can imagine 2.5 hours and 2.5 hours, 5 hours, and 2.5 hours study. Anyhow, in same Delhi, let's say that. But today, mode of transportation has improved. But our expectation has also improved. Hence, government faces lots of challenge. How to fulfill the expectations of people. And that is how administration will have challenge in terms of serving people or fulfilling their aspirations. And it is a continuous challenge. In fact, today challenges are more than what it used to be in past. Because we are very complex individuals. This you should know. Very complex. Fulfilling aspiration. So, this way you can consider. So, this administration, first it should be structured and process and behavior. That was realized by Woodrow Wilson, and that is how he started talking about a separate discipline. What that separate discipline or subject can do, it will help at structure level, process level, behavior level, how to improve. Means you need to have knowledge. You need to have knowledge input, how to improve his structure. Like suppose you go to any organization and you are asked that tell how this structure of organization can be improved. So you will apply your common sense. But suppose anyone who has done management and you are BA honors history, isn't it? And someone has done management. So, and both are asked to improve the structure of organization. Who can help better? Management. Because management wala knows about structure of organization, process of organization, and some theoretical understanding the person has. How we can improve his structure. He can compare the theoretical knowledge with practice. In practice, the structure we have, and he can apply his knowledge input to improve the structure and process. That's why there is a consultancy services. Consultancy services. Yes. Similarly, process. The process you have to improve. The process also demands expertise. Let's say that we have introduced GST. When GST has been introduced, so then Infosys was asked to provide consultancy. Infosys has designed, the software has been designed by Infosys. Now Infosys has expertise in that field. So that is how you know that a subject, we need a separate subject which can focus on structure, process, behavior, and we can improve it so that we can organize this administration efficiently. And then it will be able to serve people with efficiency. And it is a continuous process. It's not that once you have organized an administration or any organization efficiently, then it is further it is not needed. No. You can see change in the society. Like your house may be constructed by your parents. No, you desire to construct a new house. No. Why? Changes in society. No. Changes. Aajkal, different systems you have. This you can say. So, those different things demand a new way to construct. Similarly, administration, structure. If once it was given theory and structured, after some time it becomes less relevant. Then new theory comes and it talks how we can restructure. Again, after some time it becomes old, a new theory comes and it says how it can be structured. And that way subject has evolved since 1887 till date through various stages to talk about structure. Therefore, let's say for us it appears very simple because we are at least 1 century advanced. This, but the knowledge that they were saying still we have not implemented. And it took almost, let's say, from 1887 to 1950s. Thinkers first focused on structure and process. This half of your chapter second, half of the thinkers, first half of the thinkers took almost 5 decades to talk about structure, improve its structure and process. Because they think that structure and process were most important. And without structure and process, we cannot achieve efficiency. Then thereafter, let's say, during 40s onwards, it was realized behavior is also important. This behavior is also important. So basically, for 6 decades, we had theoretical developments. And that's why we say this theoretical development as organization theory or administrative theory. Your entire chapter second deals with this structure, process and behavior. It means that they were focusing on inside organization, isn't it? What we want? This, suppose this is organization. You focus on 3 things: structure, process and behavior. So what we are focusing? Inside organization. And we think that if we are able to establish an administration or organization in terms of structure, process, behavior, efficient, there will be efficiency. That is how we have told. Isn't it? But is it like that? Is it like that? Suppose you are an efficient officer. Will you work necessarily efficiently once you become district magistrate? No. Why? Hierarchy. More power. Accountability. But can there be other factors who are not inside organization that can affect your efficiency? Personal dilemma, family dilemma, political, this lack of resources, bureaucratic pathology. But it is it is internal still. See, even if an organization is efficient, still it may not work efficiently because of its environment. The environment it exists. This, let's say that the environment it exists. This. So the environment it exists. Because of that environment, now how this environment is supportive? Isn't it? You may have heard that first day, first posting, and you get transfer order. Isn't it? And frequent posting. You know that Ashok Khemka? As far as my knowledge, 55 times. Maybe he may have once more transfer. And still he is in service, 30 years. 30 years of service 55 times. It लगता है सेंचुरी बनाना है. अरे हाँ, ताकि गिनीज बुक ऑफ वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड में आ जाए. If you transfer a person in 30 years 55 times, what will happen? Yes, you will not be able, the person will not be able to deliver as per the potential, because potential is not being allowed to deliver, isn't it? As soon as he does something, transferred. Again goes to new place, tries to know it, and then he start doing, transferred. So this will find there are external factors also. This, therefore, your entire, let's say, public administration deals with, especially paper one, internal factors, external factors. For 5 decades, thinkers were of view, if we are able to establish an organization in terms of structure, process, behavior better, then organization will be efficient. However, by 1950s and 60s, it was realized that environment also has its role. Means factors outside organization also influence efficiency, not only factors inside organization. Yes, and that gave rise to your 4th chapter, organization, which have systems theory and contingency theory will talk. Then others, let's say that syllabus we mention. Then there is a chapter called comparative administration. The comparative administration will focus on environmental factors. How environment, let's say, influence. Since environment influence, that's why paper second will deal with this environment. That is called Indian administration. So when you will know about Indian administration, you will know about environment basically. And when you will know about organization theories, you will know inside organization. So inside organization, it is a theoretical understanding. Then its application in the context of Indian administration. So whether it can be applied in the context of Indian administration, it cannot be applied. How our environment is different from Western environment. These all things we'll understand. It means it also demands to understand government, because which institution is transferring? Government. Then you have to understand the government, what government is, and it is the government which controls administration. It is the government, we have written somewhere, this is the government which controls administration. We have to know about system of government, which is nothing but a sort of polity. That's why it matches also with GS paper second. We have to know the system of government also. We have to know about system of administration. Yes. And it operates in the context of people. We will also know about social, environment or citizen administration relation. Yes. And administration is structured in a 3-layer, you know that. This, since government is also structured in 3 layers, union government, state governments and local governments. Similarly, we will have union administration in general administration, state administration and district administration. All the chapters, let's say in paper second, can be linked in this way. That's why paper second is considered application of paper 1. But we started talking to you why we need a discipline. Discipline will also help you understand not only the relationship between discipline will not only help understanding this, discipline will also help understanding organization and environment relationship. And that environment will be linked to administration, that is organization and administration, organization and government. This way, organization and citizen. That nowadays we say as citizen-centric administration. What is that citizen-centric administration? This, and that is all, let's say that when we talk about public administration, this is how it deals with this. Its focus is on how state can run itself efficiently. This, how government can run itself efficiently. This, that's why its focus is on administration. So public administration is a discipline or subject which deals with applied side of the state, operational side of the state, or largely implementation side of the state. Political science is a subject which deals with politics, government side of the state. That is how the difference between them. But you know that both we cannot completely separate. That's why let's say there cannot be a complete demarcation between them. But the concerns were raised or realized by Woodrow Wilson. There were several thinkers before Wilson. They talk about public administration. But it was Woodrow Wilson who gave all such insight, such clear way of explanation. Why we need a separate discipline, what the discipline should do, and how the discipline should do. Hence, in nutshell, we can say that public administration is a subject which deals with implementation side of the government, operational side of the government, that how government can implement its policies efficiently, which we say that how government can run itself efficiently. Since government itself cannot run efficiently, it runs itself through administration. And to run it through administration itself should be first efficient. And to be efficient, first administration should look inside. It should be structured, processed, and it should have good behavior, for which we have organization theories, all different types of organization theories. And plus, let's say other factors also help, like environmental factors. That's why other chapters have been added in the syllabus. And that's why you have, let's say that 12 chapters in paper 1 and 14 chapters in paper 2. Like, if you take chapter 1, it is introduction. It talks about public administration, how it has evolved and what are the contemporary developments. Chapter 2, chapter 3, they will be dealing with organization inside. Chapter 4 will try to tell no, inside is not only important, outside environment is also important. Then if you go to chapter, let's say 5, so it deals with accountability. The administration should not be only efficient, it should also be accountable, because administration exercises powers. There is a separate chapter on that. And that accountability can also be bound by law. That's why we have a next chapter called administrative law. And then let's say that the role of the administration is not only to serve people, but also to bring development. And that's why we have a separate chapter called development administration. By that time, it was also realized that the environment is also important. So chapter 4 is further extended through chapter, you can consider, I guess it is 8. Chapter 8, comparative administration. It will give you better understanding about ecology of administration, environment in which operates, and it will give you theoretical explanation, which will apply in paper 2. Then chapter 9 is about personnel. Personnel administration. Personnel means the people in organization. Like say you are going to be people in administration. So it will deal with how they should be recruited, how they should be trained, because people cannot perform efficiently if themselves they are not meritorious, skilled, and they have motivation and outlook. Isn't it? So personnel will deal with that aspect. And thereafter it comes, you'll find that public policy. So, to implement policy effectively, we should also draft good policies. Isn't it? If a policy itself is poor, it cannot be properly implemented. That's why there is a separate chapter to understand policy itself, the government side, that aspect. Then techniques, we have said process. Process is important. There is a separate chapter on only techniques of administrative improvement. This, and then the last is, all these things cannot be done without finances. Isn't it? State cannot perform itself. Someone told that scarcity of fund, shortage of fund. Railway has shortage of fund, isn't it? This recent accident, so some reports have been given. The funds are also important. How state can bring funds, for which you have a separate chapter called financial administration. Now let's say that these chapters, since we have to talk in Indian administration context, there can be some similar chapters in paper second. Like personnel you have, so personnel is a theoretical chapter. But civil services, we have to know Indian administration. There is a separate chapter in paper second called civil services. And you have to improve efficiency in administration. Then you have to bring reform in administration. That's why there is a separate chapter called administrative reform. This will find. Now financial administration you have in paper 1 as a theoretical aspect. So its application you will find that a chapter called financial management. This. Now administration we cannot know without knowing past. Chapter 1 in paper second is about evolution of Indian administration. Once it has evolved, so it will have to start its journey with some objectives. Then we have a second chapter called philosophy of Indian Constitution. Philosophical basis of government and constitution. Then we wanted to develop, the goal was development administration, we had a chapter in paper 1. In Indian context, we wanted development through public sector undertakings and through planning. There is a separate chapter called public sector undertakings and another chapter called plan and priorities. And then you have to know union government, state government, district administration. So there are 3 chapters on that. And then we have 3-tier structure of government. The rural means Panchayati Raj institution and urban local bodies. And the role of administration remains as law and order. Traditional role, so there is a separate chapter on law and order. The last chapter is 14th chapter, which is called issues in Indian administration. Whatever topics we have not covered in all chapters can be covered in this chapter. That's why its name is Issues in Indian Administration. This. So it is open. So all the problems in Indian administration can be asked through that chapter. Although 2-3 topics are very specific. One is called protection, it's National NHRC, National Human Rights Commission, and second is disaster management. This. So this is how you'll find about the syllabus. Let's say if you take paper 1, paper 2, and both syllabus, both let's say that chapters you'll find are focused on one thing: how to run a state efficiently. And since it is difficult to run a state efficiently, that's why let's say there is continuous level reforms. Like most recent reform is, you know that lateral entry you may have heard, this an Agnipath, isn't it? An Agnivir, isn't it? This. So in military, let's say, can we bring the same type in civil services? Right. So already one article has been written by Prakash Singh on that. This. So lateral entry, so reforms we are saying. How to achieve efficiency, how to realize potential. The reforms are continuous process. And that is how the subject we are going to deal with. This is what you can say general aspect of why public administration. So suppose we do not have a discipline of public administration. Means we hypothetically, let's say there was no such discipline. So all such understanding we may not have. This. Now, public administration as a discipline, since it came out of political science and it deals with everything. You can see that it deals with organization, structure, process, behavior. Then it deals with outside environment. It deals with government, citizen. Therefore, its knowledge is not its own. Its knowledge is not its own. It tries to borrow from other subjects. Like say management science. Management science can talk much better how to design organization, structure it, run it efficiently, because management is known for that. So it is profoundly influenced by management science. Political science can explain the relationship between government and citizen, which administration has to operate within that environment. Hence, it is influenced by political science. And then let's say that civil servants, they should be motivated, isn't it? They can have all sort of problems, lack of motivation. Then you have to have leadership, you have to have team orientation. You need to have some help of psychology. Because psychology teaches motivation and leadership, which we say also organization behavior. Hence, it has borrowed some of the things from psychology. And public administration serves to society. Society we have to understand. We have to, let's say, borrow something from sociology. You can see that political science, management science, psychology, sociology, they will influence public administration. Hence, the theoretical developments in their field can also be a theory in public administration. That's why public administration is considered different from all other subjects, which gradually you will learn this. And that is how general understanding you can consider about public administration, and then formally we'll start with Wilson. Right? If you understand all these things, is it clear? Anyhow, so then we'll start with Woodrow Wilson. Yes, this comparative administration. So any topic when we take optional, this is how. So it is different. It is very systematic. You have to know each and everything, developments. So this generally any theory, any thinker has his own context. Okay. You have also taken optional in a particular context, isn't it? So everything has its own context. That is important to know. So then you will understand that theory. In which context it was given. Once you understand the context of the theory, then you can understand its application. You can apply better. This. So questions are asked also at context level. This. Then let's say that the contributions, whatever they have talked, whatever they have given, we can say in terms of principles, in terms of theories, in terms of whatever you can say. So this we say that he has given all set of things related to dichotomy concept. The most important thing he talked, so it is related to politics administration dichotomy. This, which will explain then the objectives as three is efficiency, economic effectiveness, merit-based service, business-like approach, comparative administration. Then he talks about science of administration. Then he also talks that administration should be controlled through public opinion, which will explain. After this, generally it happens when you talk about theories, contributions, then once you are done with that, you have to go for their criticisms and weaknesses we talk. This is how we'll follow, let's say, most of the topics. So criticisms and weaknesses, what are the weaknesses in this, whatever he talks, or in his own idea, let's say, what are weaknesses. Then we have to talk relevance, even if they have weaknesses, still there can be relevance. No. This, so that we can consider. Then for what it is relevant, how it is relevant, then since it is a view given 100 years, means 1 century back, so how it is relevant, that means how it was relevant that time and how it is relevant today. This, if a theory is given today, the relevance only is in today's context. But most of the theories were given almost 100 years back. This you should know. So when they were given, so that time how it was relevant. And whether it is relevant today, that aspect we have to. That is how then we have to take this current view. Then the question once it was asked, why Wilson would be considered as father of public administration, even if there were thinkers before Wilson who also contributed to the field of public administration. That question also will deal. If you read Prasad and Prasad, this, it is science of administration. So when you read books, let's say that Prasad and Prasad, as we say, so you will become familiar with these terms. Plus some other terms also you will become familiar. Means gradually you will get familiar with the language of public administration, which will help you when we tell here and when we dictate this. So that way, let's say it can help. Now, generally if you take questions, so questions are asked in terms of any, let's say that important quotation. A thinker can give various types of quotations. And those quotations are any other person can give, if another thinker can give, either in support or in against a quotation, a remark, and that remark can become a question. So it has been, let's say, once asked that the field of administration is field of business, blah 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 this. So you should read questions, start reading, means putting habit of reading questions. When we teach any topic, you should know the questions. What are the questions which have been asked? It will give you better understanding. At least when we'll mention here, you will have familiarity with that question. So all the remarks given, Remarks given in that Prasad and Prasad is a potential question. If it has not been asked. This. So, we'll deal and you read yourself. Some mention while teaching means dealing the topic. This. Then, questions have been asked related to politics, administration, dichotomy. So, on that also question has been asked. Then, once they ask a question related to politics, administration, like politics and administration have comment. Other questions will write when you will start understanding the subject. At this stage, when we write, it is not going to make you any sense out of that. Once we'll finish Wilson, then we'll write some questions and ask to you whether you understand those questions. After discussion of any topic, when questions are posed, if you understand it, then it will show that you have understood the topic. And it is the best time to understand. That time will never come. This you should also know. Why? Because I am also in class, you are also in class. And you have ample opportunity to ask any question in class. Our teaching and our approach is to teach in such a fashion that you have minimum number of doubts. Rather, we try to address all your doubts in the class itself. So, we do not have, for the sake of discussion forum. Try to understand. It is not needed. It is a civil service preparation. It is not panchayat, where you can have a discussion forum and doubts can be cleared. Some doubts should never be cleared. Still you will qualify. Some doubts you should carry forward. Isn't it? Right. But to be very clear, it's a very open, I will tell. We teach in such a fashion that you should have minimum level of doubts. Still doubts are left, we take towards end of the class. We ask. You can also ask doubts outside the class there. Let's say that, remain there, I do not run away. So, you can ask questions, plus we ask questions to you also. Right. When we finish a topic. And that time some people try to run away. This. Anyhow, in beginning, situation is different. You ask, also at inquiry, no, answer writing practice होता है. मुझे answer writing practice करना है. Then this, after 1 and 2 months, you do not want to write answers. Right. This, then we humiliate you by my own language. I have my own way to do it. This. So, everything has its own time. This you should know that. To write answers, if time comes, you should take that time. We know that people start running away because human tendency is to run away from right things. This, isn't it? Right things, right efforts. We try to run away. This, so we'll have enough practice. You will practice it also. At this stage, your focus is not to write answer. You should know this. Even if we have tests, but at this stage, your focus is to understand the subject. The writing is a secondary thing as long as we have this foundation. Right. Primary thing is understanding the subject. Writing is a secondary thing, although there is a writing practice. But once subject is finished, then writing becomes also important thing. not secondary. Because you have now knowledge. And in this 5 months duration, you have ample time to practice. Each topic we give a set of questions. UPSC has also given set of questions. You can practice. And when we have discussion, let's say suppose Wilson question you read. As of now, you will read Wilson question. When we discuss Wilson, you understand Wilson. Then you write Wilson question. When we discuss Wilson questions, try to match your answers. Whether you have written what we are discussing. So, there are several ways to improve oneself, practice oneself. That is how we can say. At the end of the day, two things are important. Whether you are able to understand question and whether you are able to write as per the demand of the question. That is how the approach is essence of teaching and essence of learning. It ends with question understanding and answer writing. That's why reading questions are very important. And that way you can read and you can understand the trend. Let's say you can know how many questions were asked from Wilson and what are the different nature of questions which have been asked. You will know at this stage itself, which people will know or they try to know generally after 2-3 years. That is how the benefit. That's why let's say you should know. So let's start what Wilson is saying. So, if you start with context is related to environment. That time, environment is nothing to do with weather condition. You should know this. Environment is about prevailing condition, isn't it? So, context that time, you know that industrial revolution. Basically, there was called mechanization. Right. Rationality. Growth of mechanization. Rationality, let's say. Context was also, let's say, the rise of capitalism. Let's big democracy. Once population, etc. will find. This. These all, let's say that will consider environment for classical theory. Others will also be influenced by the same environment. Be it Taylor, be it Henry Fayol or Maxwell. Like say when we got independence, so our environment was different. Can we say? When we got independence, that time, what was the environment? You should know that we did not have industrial revolution. Right. So our industries were not very strong. Then you know that the society was highly backward. Like only 16% population that time was in urban area. So most of the people lived in rural India. Huge population, backwardness, less resources. That is called environment. In that environment, you have to plan and develop. But US, let's say, which is less known for us. So largely, let's say, entire Europe or Western countries were emerging out of that industrial revolution. Side by side industrial revolution, you also have rise of capitalist society. This democracy, modern liberal democracy you will find. Expansion of population also will find this. So these things, let's say that were emerging the environment which influenced not only Wilson but also all classical thinkers were influenced by them. This. So in that environment, when these things are developing, so there will be concern for efficiency. This. These all will bring concerns for efficiency. Right? Because rationality, one day we'll explain also about what is rationality. Industrialization is nothing but a kind of rationality. Right? It is a kind of rationality. All understand? So in our country, how we focus to run business? How we want to run our business? Profit earning. Right? By rational means or by irrational means? Right? Irrational. Chor buddhi. Sorry to say that. Basically, sorry to say, but we do have also rational means, as we told about Infosys, but you know also about business. One day we'll talk all these things, but rationality means you try to design your business on rational means, that is called input-output relationship. You design your process and input in such a fashion that you are able to earn good output. So you will bring innovations, you will apply your mind, you will bring objectivity, and that way you will try to run business. But if you do not, let's say that you want to run business that way, you focus on magical elements. Magical elements. You know better what are magical elements. No. तो आजकल एक बाबा है वो लिख के देते हैं. ठीक है. बस मुझे लगता है कि उनको गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को भी जाना चाहिए. इतना सारा डेट है. Isn't it? RBI को भी सलाह लेना चाहिए. Advice. No. How to tackle inflation. यार हम लोगों की क्या जरूरत है? आपको तो वहीं जाना चाहिए. पब्लिक एड के बारे में भी लिख के दे दो. Isn't it? क्या होने वाला है? So basically let's say कि हमारे देश में पॉपुलर क्या ट्रेंड है? Magical elements. And one after another there are some incarnations. This and good thing is that they are very popular. Right? They attract crowd, people, huge number of people. Right? So anyhow, this is the difference, let's say, between rational aspect and magical aspect. How to understand this further? So, you know, imagine what it did. It has designed a rational means. Don't talk about exploitation, etc., etc. There is always negative side also. So it has designed a rational means so that it can deliver you anything that you order at your doorstep in a very efficient manner, plus same product. Isn't it? The same product will be delivered. Then other such similar type of things came. No, Swiggy, etc. All these things came, let's say, Blinkit, etc. You'll find this. But first it was built by Amazon. It will deliver the product that you order. Right? Not a different product or not a broken product. Isn't it? You order any Indian such platform. No, not now, but traditional time. Will it deliver what you have ordered? You know it better. Isn't it? It has not designed a rational means. Rather, it wants to earn by cheating you. That's why in traditional time, many a time, People order a radio, but only dabba came. This traditional era. This same thing Uber did. It can take you, pick up you where you desire and drop you where you desire. With such a rational fare? No. But you may have experienced first time when you came, if you are not from Delhi, first time when you came to Delhi at railway station or at airport, isn't it? And cab wala will charge how much? You know it. न्यू दिल्ली से करोल बाग, वो आपको चढ़ा की पूरा घुमाएगा, ठीक है, जबकि जस्ट इट इज ए 10-minute डिस्टेंस, आपको बाद में पता चलेगा, isn't it? It's very near. So how that car wala, cab wala wants to earn? By act of cheating, irrational. That does not mean that they are rational, we are irrational. It's not that way. But this is an example. Therefore, that business will not flourish. And their business will flourish. That's why they have entire world. Uber runs its cab in entire world. In our country, some people may have some bus truck, isn't it? और उनका हुक्का पानी चलता है बस, तो 4 बस से ही वो खुश हो गया। उसके बाद दिन भर you know that this is how it is. Anyhow, so it's all context, listener. The context that you have to understand. That's why it is difficult to run our companies, because our culture is, sorry to say, in first class itself, chor buddhi culture. This. That's why our business has not grown to that level. On the one hand, we are very religious, very patriotic. On the other hand, you know it better. This, isn't it? So, one day your landlord will tell, I have sold this house, you vacate it. You trusted him. After some time, you found he has given on rent to another person at 5 times cost, because you can only increase 10% rent, and legally it is 5% and 7%, but 10% is also acceptable. Next day, you found him in Bhandara. He has done it. You are confused. He is so religious. Charity कर रहा है और हमको घर से निकाल दिया. Isn't it? Rationality. We'll talk broadly when we'll take max level. So capitalism, industrial revolution is not something कि machine आ गया. तो machine कैसे आया? Right, thinking behind that, rationality, objectivity, this, and that was the environment that time. Industrial revolution is an environment of rise of rationality, जिसको आप क्या बोलते हो? Renaissance. This you can say. The liberal democracy is also a kind of rationality. It is rationality that every human is equal. It is irrationality that we treat every human unequal in our society on the basis of caste and religion. This. That is how liberal democracy. So democracy, capitalism, rationality, these things were growing. So when these things were growing, hence administration should also become rational. Efficiency is rational manifestation of administration. If an administration is efficient, it is a rational administration. And if it is inefficient, it lacks rationality. That is how they will tell. And that is how that time the context was. In this context, he was influenced by some factors, especially in US. Since he belongs to US, in US you'll find this is a macro level environment. And in that macro, the micro level environment in US. So US, let's take what in US. In US, what was the environment? So in US, we had a spoil system. Right. What is a spoil system? So before this merit-based recruitment, we had non-merit system, which you can say different ways. It can be spoil system, it can be patronage system. In our country, it was patronage system. Now, you know that Lord Cornwallis is covenanted and non-covenanted. And he told that Indians are not fit for covenanted. Covenanted services were reserved only for Europeans. Merit-based recruitment was introduced only in 1854. Before that, we had non-merit consideration. Similarly, in US also, there was a spoils system. The term spoils basically is used in the context that those who are party workers, they help a party to win. They spoil the chances of other, let's say, that party. Right. And party workers are given bureaucratic positions on the basis of favor. This the non-merit system. The non-merit system means those who help party win elections in US, they were given civil services positions on the basis of favor. This is how we mean by spoil system. Spoil system in general means political favor given to civil servants. That is called politicization of civil servants, which we'll talk you in paper second in much details when we'll talk those chapters. Now, when there was a spoil system, what it will make administration? Administration will become inefficient and it will become also corrupt. No, inefficient and corrupt also, because favoritism, you'll give political favor. Now, suppose your recruitment happens on the basis of political favor, then अच्छा है suicide में कोई टेंशन नहीं है, isn't it? State level पे तो ऐसे ही होता होगा. No, do we have a state level merit system? थोड़ा. This state public service. Why you have not applied for a state public service? You don't like. Anyhow, we'll talk it later. So basically, it is corrupt also, inefficient also. And that is how, when there is corruption, inefficiency, so those people who are meritorious, they will feel dissatisfied, unhappy. Right. And this resulted into one unemployed youth murdering US president. You know this. Right. So, James Garfield. President James Garfield was murdered by one unemployed youth. Yes. Because of this spoil system. So when president is murdered, you know what will happen? Right. Not that he will be murdered, rather it will result into lots of debate, discourse on civil services reforms. So this resulted into, let's say, this movement for reforms. And then let's say that at that time, Wilson Wilson was 29 years old. He was doing PhD in political science in university, and when such things happen, so there was a movement going on in US for bringing reforms in civil services. Largely, university students are influenced by such developments. No, they are very aggressive that time. So he also, let's say, somehow curiosity may have come. Somehow he may be, let's say, influenced by the movements, all these things happening. And that is how he develops his own inquisitiveness about knowing and understanding administration. Yes. He started knowing and understanding administration in US, its condition. And that way, let's say that he got influenced by that time also Taylor. Taylor, who gave scientific management. Now a question comes that Taylor gave his scientific management in 1911. How Taylor influenced Wilson? Isn't it? So Taylor gave his scientific management in 1911, but already Taylor was popular. No. Taylor submitted 30,000 papers, research papers, in one life. Taylor submitted total 30,000 research papers. So already Taylor was known, and he was a pioneer of efficiency. But he was also talking about efficiency, scientific management, name itself, So he was talking about efficiency. Since Wilson developed a curiosity to know about administration, he found also a thinker called Taylor was also talking about efficiency. He was influenced by him. Plus, he tried to know about developments in administration. What were the developments in administration? And it was found that development in administration was very less. Focus remained more on policy making. Focus remained more on writing a constitution, adopting a constitution. Just imagine, Wilson is talking in 1880, and constitution was adopted and came into force in already constitution, first written constitution and first country, and so there were constitutional developments. That's why constitution was adopted, and constitutional development is linked to government. So he found that lots of development happened related to constitution, constitutional development, government related, but hardly there was development how to run constitution. And he says that those contexts that we have told, because of that, situation has become very complex. And that is how in this context he says, it is getting harder to run a constitution than to frame one. That statement was made by him. Plus, he was open to others' ideas, and hence he found in US there was no development related to administration, or there was lack of development related to administration. US was much more advanced in the field of constitution, politics, government, democracy, but it had less development related to field of administration or how to run that democracy. Hence, another curiosity in him to know what is the condition of other countries. He tried to know other countries, and therefore he tries to know about that time any other country can be Europe, because developing countries were colonized. So they were still colonies. The colonies may not give you a model. So the countries, you can say that European countries, especially Germany and France, and he tried to know about the administration in Germany and France by his comparative analysis, and he found that they have very efficient administration. Germany and France had very efficient administration, which US did not. He was surprised. Why? He also tried to know why. So he found that in a monarchical system, it is easy to bring reforms. But in a democratic system, it is difficult to bring reforms because bringing reforms demand building consensus. Right? Like say farm bills, women reservation bill, 1996. It was introduced in 19, still it is not passed. Already another bill has a good record, 43 years. Right, Lukmaan bill. It was introduced in 1968, adopted in 2013. This. So 43 years to pass that bill. Next 43 years to empower Lukmaan. By the time corruption itself will be finished. Isn't it? Anyhow, so the question is right. Democracy takes its time. Reforms take its time. This is what he found. But in a monarchical system, you don't have to build consensus. The reforms can be, let's say our British administration. The British administration had one, let's say, credit. It established sufficient administration. This, which we say as a steel frame, civil services, merit system. Yes. So, they also established. Why they established monarchical system established? If administration is not efficient, then people would have discontentment. And discontentment may pose challenge to the colonial power or monarchical power. Therefore, they want an efficient administration so that people have less discontentment. That is how he found. And he was impressed by efficiency of Germany and France administration. Yes. However, his focus was to improve American administration, and therefore he did not want to incorporate monarchical system. Rather, let's say that there should be efficient administration in a democratic system. This, he was open to incorporate ideas, but they should be suitable to that country. Especially the US democratic ethos, we say, or we say also that ki cultural lens, which we'll talk, let's say, these views have their own relevance. These things influence his ideas related to administration, and that is how he depicted all these things in his essay, The Study of Administration. He wrote all these things in his essay, The Study of Administration, which was published in 1887. And publication of that essay is considered as, you can consider from discipline perspective, most important development, as it marked the beginning of subject called public administration. And that's why we have 1887 as basis for a separate discipline of public administration. Now, he logicked that why there should be a separate discipline. Because without discipline also you can improve. Isn't it? Without discipline also we can improve administration. We can introduce merit system, this merit-based recruitment, and we can, let's say, bring training, give training to administration. Even without discipline also we can improve administration. But he was of view, we cannot improve administration without discipline. Because how you will have the know-how? From where the know-how will come to improve improve administration? For what you will bring reforms? What you will bring reforms? How you will bring reforms? This, therefore, those things demand a special focus. In fact, bringing reforms, it is very challenging. Improving efficiency, it is very challenging. Running administration is very challenging. And since it is so challenging that we need a separate discipline which can focus on its implementation. And what the discipline will do? The discipline should find best methods, principles, tools, techniques. Discipline will try to find, develop, build theories, principles, tools, techniques which can be applied in solving the problems of administration and organizing and structuring it efficiently. And once we are able to organize and structure efficiently, then administration would be able to run itself efficiently, and hence it will be able to implement policy efficiently. And that is how, he argued, and that is how it became most seminal essay, and it, became basis. Now, what should be the basis to separate it? That time discipline was part of political science. So, merely administrative reforms would not become basis to separate it. So, he gave some other rationals, other logics. Right. The logics he gave is, see, policy making is a separate activity and policy execution is a separate activity. And both are important. Political science focuses on policy making and public administration should focus on policy execution. This, and that is how concept of dichotomy, politics, administration, dichotomy. And it became basis for separating public administration from political science. This you can say. Now, once you separate any discipline like public administration from political science, then that discipline, when it will try to formulate principles, methods, tools and techniques, so it will itself become a scientific discipline. Science. Now, you should also know those who are from natural science background. Those who are from humanities, they can understand a bit. But those who are from natural science background, you should know that those who are from humanities, they have one inferiority complex. Sorry to say that, not you. The inferiority complex is natural sciences are sciences. They don't have to tell themselves as science, isn't it? Therefore, those who are humanities, they also say hum bhi science hai. So, they say that we are also science, right? We are not magical elements, right? We are also science. And to say science, that's why there is a separate debate. And this is how we say that it will be also a science. Wilson also says, right? Public administration will be also considered as a scientific discipline. This, it has a long debate, we'll talk later. That is how we can consider it will be a science, and that is how discipline was established. We can consider. So, let's take further tomorrow. I guess you understand it.